They'll do that thing where their side stories. You're like at one point in the current timeline.
3 minutes, start getting ready.
It's going live right now.
Okay.
I'm live right
Back to
now.
wherever point they were in the main story. Yeah. Okay, now back to this.
Welcome. Please find a seat.
Yeah.
I'm going to be starting at 1:30 sharp. I have 515 episodes to get through in less than an hour, so.
Hang on, Chris is on his way.
Oh, if he isn't here in 2 minutes, he's going to miss the beginning. Time waits for no man.
You said you came from the dealer room, right? So up the stairs and go left. Okay, go left, all the way down. Yeah,
It's right
hang
next to
on.
the main stage.
I'm gonna make sure Chris doesn't pull a Zorro and get lost.
It's right next to the main stage.
I told him where it is. Hang on.
We have a Zorro in our party. For anybody who actually, or who knows One Piece already would understand that. I'm just curious before we get started, how many people here have never watched One Piece? Welcome.
Thank you.
You will be one of us soon. I absolutely love One Piece. I think it's one of the greatest stories ever told. It's been told for 25 years now.
I just want to wrap up within the next 3.
This is going to be a speed run. I'm going to skip over things. I'm going to miss some of my favorite characters and favorite plot points. The goal of this is to hit the main plot points. I'm going to hit, or at least what I feel are the main plot points. If you disagree with me, feel free to come see me afterwards. I love discussing One Piece. I could literally talk about it all day. Okay, 1 more minute. And I'm also live streaming on TikTok, Tyrone Sheppy. If you want to look me up on there. Hello, TikTok, if anybody's on there watching. I don't really have the ability to chat with people on TikTok, and my phone's so far away I can't really see you. I'll do my best, but I'm not answering questions till the end.
We're good, we found him.
Yay! Okay, here we go. It is 1:30. They have given me 1 hour. I asked them for an hour and a half, and they gave me 1 hour. So I will do the absolute best I can. I'm going to try and get you from episode 1 to episode 515. I'll do it as quickly as I can. Please save all questions until the end of the presentation. If you need to, take a note. I'm happy to take any and all questions. When I first made this presentation, it took me 1 hour and 45 minutes to get through it. The second time I did it, it was 1 hour and 20. Yesterday I did it with no audience and I got through it in about 45 minutes. And I cut a lot out. So please bear with me. I'll do my best to get through this as quick as I can and make it a little fun. I don't know. There's a lot to cover, guys. One Piece is hefty with lore. Seems like every single background character has a sad backstory. Oda is the author and creator of One Piece. Oda likes to make you care about all of the characters.
And somehow you do.
Even the villains. The villains get backstories too. However, there are some villains that are just straight up evil. There are some villains that are pretty irredeemable. But a lot of villains in One Piece, once you learn their backstory, you're like, I can see how they got where they are. It doesn't change the fact that what they're doing is terrible and they need to be taken down, but I see how they got there. So thank you everybody for coming. Please bear with me. Let's start this. First, what is the One Piece? You're gonna have to get used to disappointment with One Piece. We don't know what it is yet still. There's lots of things that we still don't know. There's things we learned in episode 237 that we're just now getting answers for in the manga, not even the anime yet. So it's hefty, but let's get started. We're gonna start off real simple. As soon as it loads.
There we go.
富、平成、力、この世の全てを手に入れた男、海賊王ゴールド・ロジャー。彼の
The words he uttered just
庭
before
に
his
放った
death
人
drove
々は
people to
人々を海へ駆り立てた。俺の財宝か欲しけりゃくれて
My treasure, if you want it, you can have it. Find it, I left everything this world has to offer them.
男たちはグランドラインを目指し夢を追い続ける。世はまさに大海賊時代。
Enter our main protagonist, Luffy. That's all we have time for. Why?
Now to the meat
Hold
and
on.
potatoes.
Hold on. I don't know why I did that. All right. So, the world of One Piece. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the world of One Piece so you can try and keep along with us as we move through the story. The world of One Piece is composed of 4 different oceans. They are bisected by both the Grand Line and the Red Line. The Red Line is a nearly impassable mountain that surrounds the entire planet. And the Grand Line is a part of the ocean that also bisects the entire planet, exactly perpendicular to the Red Line. Now, the Grand Line, like I said in the intro there, that's where everybody's trying to get to. That's where Gold Roger, the king of the pirates, left everything that this world has to offer. And at the end of the Grand Line is the One Piece, a mythical device, which we're not sure what it does exactly, but whoever has it is basically king of the pirates, the freest the freest person on the planet. And so everybody goes to the Grand Line to try and find it, and nobody's found it except for Gold Roger. On either side of the Grand Line is something called the Calm Belt. The Calm Belt has no wind, no currents, no way to get a ship across unless it's propelled. But even if you can propel a ship, it is filled with Sea Kings. And in case you're wondering how big Sea Kings are, that's a full-scale pirate ship on its nose. So 99% of the people in the world cannot cross the Calm Belt. They have to go through the Red Line. There's an upstream. We'll get to that. Also, this world is filled with things called devil fruits. I'm not going to get in too deep with them. All you really need to know is that when you eat a devil fruit, the legend is that a devil enters your body and gives you supernatural powers, some sort of superhuman ability, or changes the nature of your body. Point being, when you do that, it makes your body unnatural and the sea rejects you, and you are no longer able to swim, and seawater is like kryptonite to you. So it's a big trade-off, especially when it's a world of pirates where you're sailing the open sea. So, devil fruits, we'll get to that. But let's meet our main protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy. When we start in One Piece, really start the story, he's 17 years old. Right now he is 19 years old. That's right, he's aged 2 years in the course of 25 years of story. This is because Oda likes to tell you what everybody is doing every minute of every day, which takes a while, but it is totally worth it. I absolutely love it. So, that is Luffy at 17 and then Luffy at 19. I'm going to get you to the time jump to episode 515. We're going to do our best at least. So start off, Luffy eats the gum gum fruit. It is a devil fruit that makes his body have rubber-like properties. He did it inadvertently. He didn't know he was eating it. Luffy is what I like to call really not very smart, but extremely emotionally intelligent. But he ate this fruit. It belonged to Red-Haired Shanks. Red-Haired Shanks was a great pirate who used Luffy's hometown as a base while he was in the East Blue. There are 4 oceans in the world of One Piece: North, East, South, and West Blue. 4 different oceans. All of them can lead up to the Grand Line through the Red Mountain Line. So he eats this fruit. Remember, he can't swim. Ocean is kryptonite. He gets thrown in the ocean by some jerk bandits, and our good friend Red-Haired Shanks there jumps into the ocean to save him, but in doing so, he also loses his arm, saying that as long as Luffy is okay, it's an even trade for him. And then when he finally leaves Luffy's village for the final time, he gives Luffy his straw hat, which everybody, Straw Hat Luffy, probably heard that before, even if you haven't seen the anime, gives it to him and makes him promise that he will come and bring it to him once he is a great pirate. So that's something that drives Luffy. Now when Luffy first starts off, he ends up in a barrel in the middle of the ocean, and he is caught by this guy. His name is Kobe. He's a young man who dreams of joining the Navy so that he can save people from evil pirates and just do good. That's what he wants to do. But unfortunately, he was kidnapped by a pirate, Alvida, and forced into slavery. Luffy, because he likes helping people chase their dreams, even though he's a pirate and Kobe wants to be a Marine, he likes helping people chase their dreams. So obviously her usual tactics don't work on Luffy because he's a rubber man, just bounces right off of him. He sends her flying, and he and Kobe continue on to the local Marine base to find Luffy's first crew member, Roronoa Zoro, the greatest swordsman in the East Blue. When Luffy finds him, he is tied to a stake in the courtyard of this military base. He was told by the son of Axe Hand Morgan, who runs the military base, that if he survived for a few days with no food and no water, that they would let him go scot-free. Luffy basically finds out that's a lie, helps him recover his swords, and they escape the military base together. Really quickly, Roronoa background. He trained at a dojo with somebody by the name of Karina, a young woman a few years older than him that could defeat pretty much everybody in the dojo, including adults. But he wanted to beat her. They had 2,000 fights, he lost 2,000 times. When he lost the 2,000th time, he complained that he would never beat her. And she was like, oh, you will once you're a man. My dad says that women can't become the greatest swordsmen. To which Zoro replied basically, screw that. If you ever say that I beat you because of your sex, I'm going to just quit, because that's BS. One of us is going to be the greatest swordsman, and don't you ever blame your sex on this. It was very, love that scene. Anywho, so they agree. They make a promise to each other that one of them will become the greatest swordsperson in the world. Unfortunately, the very next day, Karina fell down a flight of stairs and died. So Luffy picked up her sword. That white sword he had is in his mouth. He carries it with him for the rest of his life, but he will forever know that he did not beat the greatest swordsman he knew, Karina. So it kind of haunts him. Moving on. We're skimming, guys. Next, we need to get to the Grand Line. How do we get there? We need a map. Who has a map? This guy. His name is Buggy. He just stole the map from the military base that we were just at. We end up on his island called Orange Island, and we run into Nami. Nami is a thief that likes to steal from pirates and hates pirates with a passion. But she needs help defeating Buggy because Buggy has eaten a devil fruit as well called the Chop Chop fruit, which allows him to never be cut, and he can break his body into different pieces and fly around. It's really creepy and actually kind of fun. But they defeat Buggy and move on from there. See, Luffy just kicks him. No, it's a lot more than that. Every battle is epic in One Piece, but don't have time. So after we leave that, we need to find an actual ship. We can't just keep stealing skiffs from pirates. So we land at Syrup Island. We meet Usopp. Usopp is the liar on this island. Think the boy who cried wolf. He and his friends get up to mischief, say that there's pirates coming all the time. Nobody believes them. But Usopp is also a sharpshooter with his slingshot inspired by his father, who is Yasop, who is the sniper on the red-haired Shanks pirate crew. And when they find that out and that Luffy was tight with red-haired Shanks, Usopp and Luffy become fast friends because he's met his father Yasop, who's been out of his life because he's a pirate on the high seas. Now, Usopp has made good friends with an heiress who is consistently sick and housebound. So he goes to her window and tells her stories, all these legends about battles that he's won, lies, but really good stories, and becomes good friends with Karina. Unfortunately, her butler does not like Usopp and tells her to stay away from him, warns her that he is just going to take advantage of her, when in actuality, we quickly find out that he is a captain of a crew of pirates who faked his own, or tricked the government into thinking that he was out of the game, but he was actually just ingratiating himself with this rich family to kill them and take all their money. But luckily, Luffy came by, kicked his butt, and saved the family. In return, she gave them the Going Merry, their first ship. It's named after her other butler who was not trying to kill her, Mary, so it's the Going Merry. So they get on that ship, and they realize quickly that nobody knows how to cook, and Nami charges them for each meal, and they can't afford to keep paying Nami to make food for them. So they go to the Baratier, however you want to say it. It is a floating restaurant where we meet Sanji. Sanji has a code where he feeds anybody who is hungry, period. Doesn't matter who they are, what they've done, everybody needs to eat in Sanji's eyes. Sanji's dream is to find the All Blue. The All Blue is a mythical part of the ocean where you can find every single sea creature, whatever. It's kind of like the One Piece. Some people believe in it, some people don't. Sanji believes, as does Zeph, his sensei? I don't know how to say that. Anyway, Blackleg Sanji, he only used kicking moves because his hands are reserved for cooking. Doesn't use his hands for anything but cooking, so he kicks everybody. He has a strong stance on starvation because he and Zeph were stranded on a rock island, and they both almost starved to death. Zeph ate his own leg because he gave Sanji all the real food, and he just ate his own leg. Of course, Sanji didn't realize that. They became like very close through that, and he learned basically everything he knows about cooking from Zeph. Zeph is awesome, I love him. But as they find all this out, Don Krieg pops up. He is a pirate who didn't quite make it in the Grand Line and was chased out of the Grand Line by Dracul Mihawk, the greatest swordsman in the world, and he decides that he's going to hijack the Baratier and take it with him to the Grand Line, use it to go back to the Grand Line and try and conquer the Grand Line that way. Luffy and them shut him down, basically, knock him out. After they do that, Dracul Mihawk actually shows up, and because Zoro is the greatest swordsman in the East Blue, he's like, ooh, I want to fight you. So Dracul Mihawk says, okay, I'll use my penknife, and beats him, because he's the greatest swordsman in the world. Zoro, laying down, bleeding, makes an oath that he will never lose again to Luffy, after he loses to Dracul Mihawk. But Dracul Mihawk is one of the 7 warlords. I'm going to touch on that real quick. 7 warlords. These are pirates who are extremely powerful that the government has basically employed to help them out. They are required to respond whenever the government calls on them, and they get a heck of a lot of leeway in their piracy. It's a corrupt system. That's what One Piece is all about. The world government sucks. So, as they're leaving the Baratier, Nami has stolen the boat and runs off ahead of them. Most of the crew is like, oh, that sucks. And Luffy's like, no, we need to chase her. So they chase her down, and we learn Nami's backstory. Nami grew up on an island with her sister and their adopted mom, Belmere. Belmere is an ex-military person, badass. The whole family is just great. And they live on an orange farm. They're poor, but they're happy. And then Arlong shows up. Arlong is a fishman. Fishmen are another race that lives under the ocean. They come in all different shapes and sizes. I love fishmen. But Arlong hates all humans, period. He bribes the local government to be able to take over the island, and he charges a tax on everybody on the island for every adult and every child. Now, Belmere only has enough money for either herself or her 2 children. And because Belmere is, like I said, badass, she pays for her children, and Arlong shoots her in front of her 2 children. So Nami, after he does that, he finds Nami's drawings. Nami wants to be a cartographer. She wants to map the entire world. And so he kidnaps her, basically, and forces her to be his navigator, and basically threatens that he will kill the entire village if she doesn't do what he says. But he also makes her a promise that if she gets 10 million berries, that he will sell the island to her, and he'll leave to bigger and better things, because he doesn't want to stay on this island anyway. So that's why she ran off with the Going Merry, because she got the last of her 10 million berries. But of course, Arlong lied to her, told the local government where her stash was, and they went and took it all because it was pirate loot, and that's illegal. So that is where, I'm only going to share a couple of scenes, things I think you really need to see. This is one of them. This is right after she finds all that out. The villagers tell her that they're going to go and fight Arlong, and she knows that if they do that, all of the villagers, the people she's worked so hard to protect, are going to die.
何も知らないくせに8年間この島で何があったのか知らないくせに。
ああ、知らね
あんたには関係ないから島から出てきって言ったでしょ。
え。ああ、言われた。
あんたなんか出てけ出てけ出てけ出てけ出てけ出てけ出てけ ルフィ。
行くぞ。
I shared that scene because it is very atypical of Luffy and the crew. They're always jumping in for each other. No.
Good. Do you want to tell them about the tattoo that you had?
Oh, the tattoo. That tattoo was Arlong's tattoo, indicating that she was part of the Arlong pirates. That's why she was stabbing it. Luffy and the crew show up at Arlong Park and bust heads, basically. Luffy, it's again a long and epic battle. Don't have time for it, but he lays the smackdown, destroying Arlong Park, freeing the villagers, and in the process gaining a $30 million berry bounty on his head. That's his first wanted poster. He's super excited about it. Means he's a real pirate. Next, we're going to stop at Loguetown. Loguetown is where Gold Roger, the former pirate king, both was born and died. We run into Buggy again, and Alvida, believe it or not. That's Alvida in the background there. She ate the slip fruit and was able to slip off all of those pounds that she had. But basically, Buggy is able to trick Luffy into putting his head in a stockade because, again, Luffy is not the brightest. And he trusts people a lot. But right as Buggy is about to chop his head off, they are struck by lightning, and because Luffy is a rubber man, he's able to get away. Buggy and them are toasted. You can see a Marine in the background there. The Marines flood the square, led by Captain Smoker. Captain Smoker has eaten the smoke fruit and has become a smoke man, which means he can turn his body into smoke. He's able to seemingly capture Luffy, but a mysterious man in a green cloak steps in and helps Luffy escape. We have no idea who this man is yet. So next, the Grand Line. That's where we're headed next. If you remember from the map, this part of the mountain is important. That's where the upstream is, up the mountain, and then you go back down into the Grand Line. So they go up this stream and they come down the Grand Line. There's a big old whale in the way. They have a little skirmish with the whale and are swallowed by it. They find out it is an island whale with an island inside of it, and on that island is Crocus. Crocus, we learn, is the former doctor of the Gold Roger pirate crew, the Pirate King. He is taking care of this whale because it has been injuring itself because 50 years ago, another pirate crew left it there when it was a baby because it couldn't survive the Grand Line and promised that they would come back and get it, but they never did, and he is distraught about that. Luffy makes a new promise with him that he will come back and finish their fight someday. Crocus is there. He takes care of the whale, like I said. He also gives them a log pose. Log pose is important. Compasses do not work in the Grand Line. Log poses attune themselves to the magnetic frequency of the next island and show you where you need to go next. So the next place they go is Whiskey Peak. Whiskey Peak, the villagers greet them. Big old party, that's why Luffy's fat right there. But it turns out it's a trap by a secret organization known as Baroque Works. The important thing we need to know right now is Miss Wednesday. Miss Wednesday is infiltrating Baroque Works. She is actually Princess Vivi of the Alabasta Kingdom, infiltrating Baroque Works to try and prove how they are causing unrest in her kingdom, leading to a possible civil war. She reveals all this to the Straw Hats. They, of course, are like, come along, we're gonna help you out because you're a cool person. The other thing we need to know here, Miss All Day Sunday shows up. She is the right hand of Mr. Zero, who is actually Crocodile, who is one of the warlords of the sea, using his special privileges to go behind the scenes and basically try and take over Alabasta Kingdom from the rightful rulers of the kingdom. The next island we go to after escaping Whiskey Peak is called Little Garden. Little Garden is a prehistoric island with dinosaurs, but that's no big deal. Our two big guys there, they just take them down easy. We also run into Dory and Broggy. Dory and Broggy are giants, and this is the first we hear about Elbath, the land of the giants, the land of warriors. Usopp, of course, always wanting to be a warrior of the sea, swears that someday he will make it to Elbath. Spoiler alert, they get there. Really long time later. But Dory and Broggy have been dueling for 100 years. They duel to a standstill every single day. Unfortunately, on Little Garden is also Baroque Works. The important person here is Mr. 3. Mr. 3 is eating the wax fruit. He can manipulate wax, turn his body into wax, all sort of cool things. He sabotages the ale that the giants drink, knocking them both out so that he can take on the Straw Hats. He starts to turn Nami, Vivi, and Zoro into candles. Luffy and Usopp step in, save them, knock Mr. 3 out. Sanji during this time was wandering the forest, found their base, intercepts a call from Crocodile, and is able to hijack an eternal log post to Alabasta, which is a log post that only ports at one island instead of whichever island is next. So they start to head there, but on the way they run into this guy. His name is Walpole in the ocean. He ate the munch fruit. He can literally eat anything and incorporate it into his body. Weird, disgusting guy. Luffy sends him flying and they continue on. Nami, however, becomes very ill, so they stop at a local island called Drum Island, which is renowned for its doctors. Unfortunately, this a-hole that they ran into on the ocean is the king of that island and has taken all the doctors for himself, except for one, Dr. Kureha, who has taken over the castle and lives there with her apprentice, Tony Chopper, who is a reindeer that ate the human fruit, gained human abilities, human intelligence, and is studying to become a doctor. And there's a reason for that. When he ate the human fruit, he was rejected by both the reindeer and the humans because he was a monster. The first person to ever accept him was a man by the name of Dr. Hiruluk. Dr. Hiruluk was considered a quack, but Tony Chopper looks at him as the best doctor in the world. While he's living with Dr. Hiruluk, he finds Dr. Hiruluk's pirate flag. Dr. Hiruluk explains that it is a symbol of vitality and hope, and a hope that there is a cure for every disease. And then he learns that Dr. Hiruluk has a terminal illness, and so he looks for a solution to that. He finds in a book this mushroom with the symbol that he was told meant vitality, but we all know in a book like this that means poison. So he goes on a very difficult journey to get this mushroom for the doctor because he does not want the doctor to die. The doctor, knowing that he has a terminal illness, thanks Chopper for the mushroom, makes a concoction for himself to end his life on his terms, and goes and confronts King Walpole because King Walpole has been trying to kill him, and tells him, "You can't kill me because a man only dies when he is forgotten." And then he drinks the concoction of the mushroom that Chopper gave him. This crushes Chopper, and he begs Dr. Kureha to teach him true medicine so that he never makes that mistake again. And she agrees, and he becomes like a son to her. She is over 100 years old, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. She's whatever she's doing as doctor, it's good. At this point, they've taken care of Nami. Nami's feeling better. Walpole shows back up. He wants his castle back. He attacks the castle. Luffy defends the flag that Chopper has put up, saying that you cannot destroy hope, and basically sends Walpole flying again. After he sends Walpole flying, he invites Chopper to join his crew, and Chopper joins the crew as the doctor, the newest member of the crew. Now we finally get to Alabasta, where Princess Vivi has wanted us to get to for a while. A couple things here. Before we get to Alabasta, we fish this guy out of the ocean. His name is Bon Clay, and Bon Clay has the Devil Fruit power where he can transform into anybody that he has touched. They have a lot of fun. They part as friends and promise that they will always be friends. As he's leaving, Princess Vivi realizes that he is actually Mr. 2, a member of the Baroque Works party, and they're probably going to have to fight him here soon. They also run into Fire Fist Ace. Ace is Luffy's brother. He ate the flame fruit. He has a flame body. He is badass. I love Ace. He also gives them a Vivre card for himself. Vivre cards are made from people. They always want to get back to that person, so if you hold it in your hand, it moves towards that person, allowing you in the Grand Line, where compasses don't work, to find anybody whose Vivre card you have. It's a good way for people to be able to find each other in this vast world. Nami begs Usopp to give her some sort of weapon so that she can actually join the fights. He gives her a time attack, which he thought was just going to be a fun party favor, but it actually allows her to manipulate the weather by creating cold and hot fronts to create lightning, illusions, all sort of really neat things with her climb attack, so she becomes a power to be reckoned with. Luffy and them, because they're idiots, are captured by Crocodile pretty early on, as well as Smoker, who was poking his nose around trying to figure out what was going on in this country because it was going downhill fast. They're able to escape with the help of Sanji. Luffy confronts Crocodile. Crocodile ate the sand fruit and has a sand body, which means he's really hard to punch, because if you've ever punched sand. So Luffy loses badly and is skewered by Crocodile and left to die. Miss All Day Sunday saves him for some unknown reason, but we're grateful that she did. Because he goes and he fights Crocodile again, who again defeats Luffy by sucking all the moisture out of him. And tossing him aside. Some allies give him a barrel full of water. He rehydrates himself and goes and fights him one more time, this time using a combination of blood and water to solidify Crocodile enough to kick his butt, knock him out, reveal everything that's been going on, and exonerate Vivi and the family, the royal family, that they have not been causing the problems, that it has been Crocodile trying to unseat them and take over the country. To leave Alabasta, the Navy, of course, give all the credit to Smoker, because they can't tell everybody that a pirate saved the country. Bon Clay Sama, even though they fought him during the whole brouhaha, at the end, he transforms into the Straw Hats and misdirects the Navy long enough so that they can get away, fulfilling his promise of friendship. Nico Robin joins the crew at this point. She was Miss All Day Sunday, telling them that she wanted to die, and because Luffy saved her life, she's their problem now. She reveals that she is an archaeologist, and she was working with Crocodile because he wanted her to read what is called a poneglyph. Poneglyph are indestructible bricks covered in indecipherable language that only Nami and maybe a couple other people in the world can read at this point. They reveal secrets about the Void Century. The Void Century is 100 years that we know nothing about. The government has buried all evidence and history of those 100 years and has made it illegal to look into those 100 years. You will be killed if you look into those 100 years. But the one in Alabasta talked about Pluton, an ancient, very powerful ship. What is it? Where is it? We don't know. Monkey D. Luffy at this point gets 100 million berry bounty, goes up again. Now we move on to Jaya and Skypiea. The problem is, the log point is pointing up, indicating that the island is in the sky. But that doesn't make any sense, there's no islands in the sky. So they go to the local island, they go to the restaurant there. This is where we first meet Blackbeard, but they do not exchange names. They don't know who each other are. They just disagree about the pie. One of them likes it, one of them doesn't. They get in an argument. It doesn't turn into blows. Blackbeard leaves. After Blackbeard leaves, in comes a man by the name of Bellamy. Bellamy has the spring fruit. You see his legs there? He can bounce around, like build up punches, basically. Everything you could do with a spring, his body is made of springs. He makes fun of them for believing in the One Piece and Sky Islands. Luffy doesn't give him the time of day because he's a loser, and they walk out. Blackbeard happens to be outside and congratulates them on ignoring him because the One Piece is real. They ignore him too and walk away. When they're walking away, Nami's like, why don't you talk to him? Maybe he knows what's going on. This is still a mystery, guys, but Luffy says, oh, it's not a he. And then Zoro says, it's they, probably. And she's like, what, you mean their crew are nearby? No, that's not what they meant, and it is not expounded upon. We don't know why they refer to him as they. But they do meet a local guy by the name of Cricket, a descendant of a man who claimed that there was an island of gold, but when they came back, the island of gold was missing. But he has found evidence of this island of gold with lots of different gold idols and gold pieces. Bellamy learns that he's actually found some gold. Bellamy goes and steals all the gold from Cricket and them. This ticks Luffy off. You don't mess with Luffy's friends, so he goes to confront Bellamy. Bellamy is basically winding up for a big final move on Luffy or whatever, and Luffy's just standing there and everybody's making fun of Luffy. When he finally goes to make this final hit on Luffy, he one-shots him. Because Luffy is badass and Bellamy is a loser who doesn't believe in anything. One of the things that I love about Oda is he points out that if you want to not succeed, don't dream. And if you aren't dreaming, if you aren't pushing for anything, those people fail in One Piece. So they learn, or they figure out there's these things called knock-up streams in the area. There are these columns of water that punch up out of the ground. The theory is that a huge knock-up stream knocked the island of gold up into the sky and it stayed up there. So they decide to ride a knock-up stream to get to the Sky Island. At the same time, Blackbeard learns that Luffy has a bounty and wants to go after him, so they chase him, but they didn't know about the knock-up stream. They get hit by the edge of the knock-up stream and their ship is destroyed. He's looking for a way to prove himself because at that time, the government is getting together, say, hey, Crocodile's gone, we need a new warlord. Blackbeard sent one of his crew to the meeting and was like, hey, make Blackbeard a warlord. And they're like, who the heck is Blackbeard? And they're like, we're working on it, don't worry about it. So they land on this sky island called Skypiea, which is ruled over by a self-proclaimed god by the name of Enel. Enel has eaten the lightning fruit. He has a body made of lightning. He's pretty indestructible, and he can hit anybody on the island from his base higher up in the island. Unfortunately for him, Luffy's made of rubber, so his lightning attacks do nothing, which confuses the heck out of this man because he's been a god for so long. But he figures out that he can still stab Luffy and hit him with physical objects. So he melts a big old piece of gold onto Luffy's arm, thinking to drag him down. Luffy uses that big old piece of gold to beat the bejesus out of it now. Ringing the giant bell, which Cricket actually hears down on the Grand Line, confirming his belief that there is an island of gold. Shangri-La. Also, during this time, the ship has been through a lot, and it is pretty damaged. And in the middle of the night, a shadowy figure fixed the ship. Only Usopp sees this shadowy figure. We do not know who this figure is yet. Robin finds the poneglyph as well as a note from Gold Roger saying, I got this far, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to make it to the end of the Grand Line. I'm paraphrasing. But what does the poneglyph talk about? Poseidon, another ancient weapon. What is it? We don't know. Moving on. Long ring, long land. All you really need to know about this is a silly battle, and Luffy believes that an afro will make him stronger, which I think it does. But anyway, the important thing about this is at the end of this, Aokiji shows up. He is an admiral in the Navy. He ate the ice fruit. He is an Iceman. And he said that he's going to get rid of Robin so that she doesn't destroy this crew. Oh, also as a side note, he says he's here on his personal time, so this isn't work. So Luffy helps get Robin away and says he's going to fight him one-on-one. He loses. But he does not kill Luffy as a thank you for taking care of Crocodile. But he says, next time, all bets are off. And then he freezes the ocean and rides away on his bicycle. Aokiji I love him. He's great. Now, I'm going to go into the background of Nico Robin real quick so that this next story makes a little bit more sense. Nico Robin was called the Devil Child when she was 2 years old. First, she lived on the island of Ohara, which had a huge tree known as the Tree of Knowledge. It is full of scholars, books. Like everybody on this island is a scholar or a scientist. Nico Robin, when she was 2 years old, her mom left the island to go and investigate the Void Century because she wanted to know the truth about the past, because she believed that in order to move into the future, we need to know our past. Robin has the Bloom fruit, which allows her to sprout limbs from anywhere, which helps her here in combat or as a party favor whenever Luffy wants to look like Chopper. So her only friends really were the scholars in the Tree of Knowledge, and she learns how to read this ancient language. About the time she's 8 years old, her mom, Olvia, is captured by the Navy, and they find out that she's been investigating the Void Century, and they also track her back to Ohara, so they're going to Ohara to take care of that as well. However, there is a giant in the military by the name of Saul who does not believe that she should be punished for seeking knowledge, and so he helps her escape, and he also has to run away from the Marines because of that. And he happens to wash up on the shore and meet Nico Robin, becoming one of her very first friends. Soon after they become, and so he starts building a raft to get back off the island. Soon after they meet, her mom comes back to the island to warn everybody that the military is coming to destroy the island because of their research. She begs Saul to help her save Robin and get her off the island. As he is trying to save Robin, Aokiji shows up and freezes Saul because Saul is a deserter. Now, at this point, Aokiji allows Robin to escape because Saul was his friend, and he only stopped him because it was his duty. But nobody said anything about Robin, and he wants to see why his friend gave his life for this girl. So he creates a path for her to follow to get off the island. The military lies about what happened there, tells everybody that Nico Robin destroyed the ships, and she is hunted for the rest of her life from the age of 8. So that is what her life has been like for the past 20 years. So they get to Water 7. Water 7 is where the greatest shipwrights in the world are. And the greatest company at Water 7 is Galila. Now at Galila, this man right here is Iceberg. He is both the president of Galila and the mayor of Water 7. This is Rob Lucci. He is an undercover government agent. This is Kaku. He is an undercover government agent. And this is Khalifa. She is also an undercover government agent. So while they go to the Galila company, they have them look at the Going Merry. They say the Going Merry is unrepairable. During that time, Usopp had gone and changed all of the gold that they got on the Sky Island into 200 million berries. He is robbed and basically left for dead by the Frankie gang. Frankie, when he gets the money, grabs it and says, I'm gonna go buy what I've always wanted to buy, and leaves his team behind to just enjoy themselves. The Straw Hats show up, are like, no, you're not gonna do our friend like that, and they destroy the Frankie house and the Frankie gang. Just beat the crap out of them. They go back to their own ship, and they tell Usopp that they're gonna have to get rid of the Going Merry. Usopp is distraught. He considers the Going Merry a part of the crew. And this is the first time that Usopp and Luffy have a fight, and Usopp leaves the crew. At the same time, CP9 reveals themselves. That's the name of the secret organization. I told you this guy was a secret government agent. He's part of CP9, think MI8. They take Robin. Robin says she will go willingly as long as they do not hurt the Straw Hats. They also kidnap Frankie because they find out that Frankie is actually Cutty Flam, a man who they believed was dead. He was the apprentice to Tom, the man who built Gold Roger's ship. He was sentenced to death because of that, but he convinced the military to give him 10 years to build a train that could cover the ocean under any kind of weather. They said, connect it to the judicial seat of the world and we'll let you do it. So he does it. In 10 years, he builds a train that can go across the ocean in any kind of weather. But this does not sit well with Spandam, a government official who is just the worst and wants Tom dead. So he goes to the shipyard and takes all of Frankie's prototypes that he'd been working on, well, Cutty Flam at the time, and uses his battleships to attack the judiciary, framing Frankie for this. Tom uses his goodwill with the government to get Cutty Flam off, but then he can't get himself off for being the creator of the Pirate King ship. So they take him in the train to his execution. Cutty Flam hits Spandam in the face, permanently damaging his face, and tries to stop the train, but is run over by it. That's why I thought he died, but he's actually was built back up as a cyborg known as Frankie. Moving on, this is CP9, the whole crew. When they first run into him, they're not doing very hot against them. But since Usopp is out of the game, Soga King shows up. He is actually from Sniper Island. He's not Usopp. I'll fight you on this. But he is Soga King. He shows up. Everybody but Luffy and Chopper recognize what's going on here. Anywho, moving on. Luffy premieres Gear 2. He finds out that he can use his elasticity to speed up his blood pumping, basically making him faster, stronger, and able to take on these like high-level secret agents. Wait for it. Boom. Send him flying. Not a challenge now. So it's at this point that they've caught up with Robin, and they've basically been told that they can't save Robin because her enemy is the world government, and you can't fight the world government. In response to that, Luffy shoots the world government's flag.
Oh, now they've done it! Those idiots! You can't fire on a government flag! That's crazy! Oh, those pirates just declared war against the world government! You're all going to die! You morons can't challenge the entire world and expect to win! Yeah, bring it on! Existence is nothing but a crime. The whole world's against you, Robin. You can't be allowed to live.
I never dared to wish for something like that. The world had denied me that hope. I just want to die!
The sea's a vast place, so I guarantee someday you'll find friends who won't ever leave you.
But now, if I'm allowed to say my wish, just this once, then I want to live! Take me with you! Take me away from
so awesome! I love you!
Let's go!
And they do. They were the first people in Robin's life to ever be willing to go up against the world government for her. So Luffy also premieres Gear 3 in this arc, where he uses his elasticity to inflate his bones to giant sizes, which allows him to finally defeat CP9. Unfortunately, they still need a way to escape, but they hear a voice calling to them, telling them to jump into the ocean. It turns out that is Mary. The ship Mary has shown up again. It turns out that, according to Frankie, who tells us about this, when a ship has been well loved and well taken care of, it can develop its own spirit, known as a klabauterman. And the Going Mary has done that, and it has the ability to speak to her crew in actual words now. She uses that ability to call out to Iceberg and begs him to fix her up enough so that she can make one final voyage to help her crew. Unfortunately, just like the shipwright said, there was no way to fully fix her, and so they bury her traditionally in the ocean. One Piece has made me cry more than any other show in my life, and this is the first time I've ever cried over a boat. So, I just love the storytelling in this story. But after that, they don't have a ship anymore, so they have to wait for Frankie to build them a new one with the atom wood that he purchased with the 200 million berries that he stole from them. Atom wood is a very expensive wood because it is nearly indestructible. It only comes from one type of tree, the atom tree, but it is good wood. Anywho, so here, while we're waiting for the new ship, a Vice Admiral shows up. His name is Monkey D. Garp. Monkey D. Luffy's grandfather is a Vice Admiral in the Marines. And those two people on either shoulder of his, that is Kobe and Helmeppo. They have been trained by him, and they got quite a bit of a glow up because of it. So they're moving up in the ranks. Also, we learned that this man is Monkey D. Dragon, aka Luffy's father. He's the one who helped him in Logtown get away from Smoker. He is also the leader of the Revolutionary Army, the counterpoint to the world government that assists citizens that want to overthrow their government, basically. Also, we learn about the second half of the Grand Line. Remember, it's bisected by the Red Mountain, so when you get to the Red Mountain again, you have to go past that part. The second half of the Grand Line is known as the New World. It is ruled over by 4 emperors. Basically, think of it as the Cold War. If the world government tried to go up against these emperors, it would be all-out war, possibly mutually assured destruction. So the world government is like, we'll just stay out of each other's way for the second half of the Grand Line. Usopp apologizes, is welcomed back onto the ship. Everybody has a wanted poster now. Everybody's wanted after attacking the seat of the world government judiciary. Go figure. And this is the new ship, the Thousand Sunny, made from that atom wood. She is great. I can't go into details because I don't have time. Also at this time, Ace finally catches up to Blackbeard and they have a battle. Ace is defeated. Luffy doesn't know this yet. So we end up in a very thick fog. We find what we think is a ghost ship with a talking skeleton on it, and Luffy immediately invites him to join the crew. We learn that his name is Brook. He died, but he ate the revive fruit, so his spirit was brought back. Unfortunately, because they were lost in fog, his spirit didn't find his body until it had already turned into a skeleton, except for the afro, because the afro is badass. Moving on. We end up at Thriller Bark, a moving island / fortress ruled over by Gecko Moria, another warlord of the sea. He has the shadow fruit. He can take people's shadow, stick it into things. Mostly he does this to corpses to create a zombie army. At the same time, Bartholomew Kuma shows up, another warlord of the sea, and warns him, saying, don't underestimate these kids. He underestimates them, and Luffy kicks his butt. Kuma also lets the Straw Hats go at this point. We don't know why. Next stop, Sabayori Archipelago. This is the last stop before getting to Fishman Island in the second half of the Grand Line. On the way, we run into an old foe, Hachan, but he has changed his way. He used to be part of Arlong's pirates, but he has completely changed his way. He now hangs out with Kami, makes takoyaki. Kami is a mermaid. They also warned them at Sabayori Archipelago about the Celestial Dragons. Celestial Dragons are descendants of these founders of the world government. They are essentially considered gods and can literally get away with murder. They can turn anybody they want into a slave or marry whoever they want. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Everybody that does not live in Mary Joie, which is at the top of the red line, is considered an insect to them and worthless. So they are told to stay far, far away from the Celestial Dragons. Also, as we're arriving at Sabayori Archipelago, a bunch of other people show up. The world government has deemed the worst generation. These are a dozen pirates, up-and-coming powers who are considered threats to the world government. Again, can't go into everybody, but there they are. We also meet Silvers Rayleigh. He was the right hand of the Pirate King. Also, very powerful man. He happens to be at the slave house where Cammy is. There she is. She's up for auction, and she is purchased by a celestial dragon. That same celestial dragon also shoots Hachan. Well, you know what happens when you hurt Luffy's friends, and he knocks him out. Because he is a celestial dragon, immediately the military is called in, and we meet Kizaru. Kizaru is an admiral. He ate the glimmer fruit. He has a light-based body, which means he can shoot lasers. He moves super fast. He is ridiculously powerful. Luffy realizes this, tells everybody to scatter, and that they will rejoin up in 3 days. Luckily, Silver's Rayleigh steps in and holds off Kizaru long enough to where hopefully they can get away, but unfortunately, Bartholomew Kuma shows up again, and using his mysterious devil fruit power, poofs away everybody in Luffy's crew. When Luffy wakes up, he is on Amazon Lily. It is an Amazon only with women, ruled over by Boa Hancock, arguably the most beautiful woman in the world. Through a series of incidents, he finds out that both her and her two sisters, those two large ladies on either side of her, were former slaves of the Celestial Dragons. This needs to be kept a secret because if you're ever once a slave of the Celestial Dragons, you're always a slave of the Celestial Dragons. Luffy agrees to keep their secret, and Boa Hancock falls head over heels for Luffy, mainly because Luffy couldn't care less about her. If you had to press me, and this is my personal opinion, Luffy is asexual. He doesn't care. He just wants to be the king of the pirates and be the freest man in the world. While he is there, he hears the news that Ace was captured by Blackbeard. Blackbeard captured Ace so that he could become a warlord of the sea. At the same time, he's turned over, and it is revealed that Ace's father is Gold Roger, the pirate king. So he is sentenced to death. And Luffy pulls out that Beaver card. It is fading away. It is an indicator that Ace's life is in danger. He begs Boa Hancock to sneak him into Impel Down, the most secure prison in the world, to rescue his brother Ace. She agrees. They go to Impel Down. They infiltrate. That guy with the horns, his name is Magellan. Thank you. Brain fart. Magellan has eaten the poison fruit, but the prison has 6 levels. It's all underwater, so it's pretty impossible to escape. While he is infiltrating the prison, he runs into Buggy, who agrees to help because he wants to get out of prison. And we also run into Clay-sama again, and we rekindle that friendship, and it's beautiful. But unfortunately for them, that Magellan with the poison fruit, he's pretty dang powerful, and he knocks out Luffy, poisons him, and throws him into level 5 of the prison, which is known as Frozen Hell, populated by wolves. Bon Clay-sama helps protect Luffy long enough so that they are rescued by the new comic land, a secret area in the prison created by a devil fruit. I won't go into details on that, but it is ruled over by my favorite side character, Emporio Ivankov, Queen of the Queers. They have the hormone fruit. They can change their sex whenever they want, and they can change anybody else's sex whenever they want, and they can do all the other kind of crazy things with their hormone fruit. They inject Luffy with a bunch of hormones to help him overcome the poison, and it takes him a little bit to recover. While he is recovering, Ace is in prison with Jinbei, another warlord of the sea. Jinbei is in prison because he refused to answer the government summons to help with the execution of Ace, because Ace is his friend, as is Ace's captain, Whitebeard. Unfortunately, by the time that Luffy and his newfound friends get to this point in the prison, Ace has already been taken to the execution yard for his execution. They break out Jinbei. Jinbei helps them hijack a ship, and Bon Clay-sama once again stays behind, disguised himself as Magellan to make sure that Luffy is able to get away again, because he's boss and best friend in the world. Meanwhile, let's jump over to Marineford, military base where Ace is going to be executed, and Whitebeard's entire fleet has showed up to save Ace. Whitebeard also shows up. He is rightly called the strongest man in the world, and he ate the tremor fruit, which gives him basically earthquake powers. He creates 2 big old tsunamis to wipe everybody out, but unfortunately for him, Aokiji is there, and Aokiji quickly freezes everything before anybody can be injured. Unfortunately for Luffy and their crew, they happen to be on the top of that wave when it was frozen, so they come crashing down into the scene. Luffy triggers power unconsciously. It's known as the power of the Supreme King. All you really need to know is that anybody with less willpower than Luffy is knocked out, so he knocks out a bunch of small fries when he gets there. He rushes the platform where Ace is with the help of all the other friends that he's made along the way. They help him to get past the 3 admirals there. One is a light man, one is a magma man, one is an ice man. 3 very powerful beings. But he gets past them, breaks Ace out, and just as they're getting ready to get away, this guy right here, complete a-hole, I don't like him. He has the magma fruit. He attacks Luffy while Luffy is distracted. Ace jumps in front of him to protect him and gives his life to save Luffy's. Luffy is completely distraught at this point, but it's not over yet. Blackbeard shows up. Turns out he broke out a bunch of prisoners from Impel Down during the confusion, very powerful people, and as soon as they show up, they all attack Whitebeard at once, every single last one of them, finally killing Whitebeard. But even though Whitebeard is dead, he does not fall. He is the strongest man in the world. Even though he's dead, he doesn't fall. However, the crew quickly covers Blackbeard and Whitebeard with a tarp, and when Blackbeard emerges from the tarp, he now has not only his dark fruit powers, but Whitebeard's trimmer fruit powers, and becomes the first person in the history of the world to have 2 devil fruit powers. Typically speaking, if you try to get 2 devil fruit powers, you will explode. But he has 2 of them. Why? We don't know. We still don't know. That is when red-haired Shanks and his whole crew shows up and basically says, you want to fight? You want to keep fighting? We'll fight. And then Blackbeard is like, no, I'm not ready to fight you guys yet. And the world government agrees that there's been enough death. Kobe really steps up and makes a beautiful speech. Can't go into it, but basically the fighting stops. Ace is dead. There's been enough death. Everybody goes home. The war is over. So Luffy is brought back to Amazon Lily by Jinbei to be healed, and he is losing it because he was not strong enough to save his brother. Jinbei basically snaps him out of him and reminds him that he has a lot more to live for than just his brother, and that his crew needs him to be strong. Now, if you remember, Luffy told them they were going to meet back up in 3 days. All of that happened in like 2 days, guys. All of that happened in like 2 days. So he decides they need more time to train. So, with the help of Jinbei and Rayleigh, he goes back to Marineford to pay his respects to Ace and make sure that a reporter takes a picture of him with his new temporary tattoo that he's put on that is simply this, to tell his crew, not 3 days, 2 years. In 2 years, we will meet back up and we will continue our journey for the second half of the Grand Line. Now, it turns out that Kuma had transported each of the Straw Hats to an island specifically tailored to help them increase their skills and become stronger. So they each vowed that in 2 years they will train hard to become strong enough to be able to face the Emperors of the Sea in the second half of the Grand Line. Jinbei also promises the Straw Hats that he will meet them at Fish Island in 2 years' time to help them along on their journey further. Luffy then takes off his straw hat and dedicates himself to 2 years to improve, to become strong enough to be able to become King of the Pirates. And that is the time jump, ladies and gentlemen. With 5 minutes to spare, I would like to now open the floor to any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have to the best of my ability. Any questions? Okay. I can go into more detail on everything. Oh, one of my favorite things that I didn't even touch on is in one of the first battles with Buggy when they land on Orange Island. This is one of my favorite little subplots that they have in the story. There is a dog that is protecting a pet food store. Basically they beat the crap out of this poor little dog, but Luffy steps in and beats them up and saves just I think 1 box of dog food for the dog, because the dog's owner used to run that shop but was killed by pirates. There's a lot of sad stories in this. Yeah, please.
So before they eat like a devil fruit, do they know what how it is, or is that something they discover after they eat it?
So when you eat a devil fruit, you're supposed to know what it is.
There's a second thing.
You get like a feeling for what it is, or you have an idea of what it is. But you learn more about the ability as you use it. So, for example, Luffy, as we go throughout, like originally he just used his, like stretch his arm around to kick people and things like that. And then the second gear, he learns he can use his elasticity to pump his blood faster. So as people progress and they get better and better with the devil fruits, they learn more ways to use them. And in fact, at some point, you can reach a point called an awakening, where you awaken the true power of the fruit because you've embraced it completely. Luffy has reached that point now in the story. Other people have as well. And some people never unlock the true potential of their devil fruit. It's one of those things. Excellent question, thank you. Any other questions? I've got 3 more minutes. My favorite character is Ivankov. I want to cosplay Ivankov at some point. But just because Ivankov believes that everybody should be able to live however they want, whatever they want, wherever they want. And that's one of the great things about One Piece that I love, is it's all about freedom. That's what Luffy truly wants. He wants everybody to be free to live their life the way they choose. And if you want Luffy to fight for you, tell him you're hungry. Luffy.
Off the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yep.
Yes, Ivankov was inspired by Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I love Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
For anybody worried about Bonflay, when he stayed behind in the prison to help them escape, Oda later revealed that he actually took over New Kuma Land, that secret area in the prison where prisoners are brought to live free within the prison. It's a secret area that was created by a devil fruit that allows the user to like dig through earth, basically. The person who created it is a member of the Revolutionary Army as well, the organization that Luffy's father runs. So,
Can you speculate on Blackbeard and how he was able to take Whitebeard's power?
how much of a spoiler do you want?
I don't want a spoiler, but
Okay, so I'll use just the information that I've given you today.
Yeah.
So you remember when they said they, when they said he's not a he, it's a they. That kind of feeds into my theory that somehow he is multiple people, or he has multiple people inside of him. And his dark fruit power, which again I've revealed to you, it's essentially a black hole. He can absorb powers, he can absorb all sorts of things. So I think it has something to do with him absorbing another person, or that ability to be able to control two devil fruits at the same time. There's more, but only if you're caught up in the manga. But what I've given you today, that's where my theory sits, and it fits in even with the early stuff. It's, in my opinion, further confirmed by other things that were revealed 2 weeks ago. Like literally. One Piece, the great thing that Oda, the author, does, in my opinion, is he gives us these breadcrumbs. He gives us these little hints and things. And oftentimes when authors do that, the reveal is often either underwhelming or disappointing. But I have yet to be disappointed by a revelation from Oda. He is an excellent writer. He has the best live action interpretation of an anime, in my opinion. If you want to get into One Piece, a good place to start, honestly, is the live action. It's pretty accurate to the spirit of the characters. They obviously have to make changes because it's live action in completely different timing. I mean, like I said, it's been going for 25 years. Luffy has aged like 2 years in the story. So to do that in live action is really difficult, because I don't know anybody that can still look the same they do like 5-6 years later. So. All right, so that is 2:30. That is my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the con.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Whatever. Whatever.